Well, hello. This is another video that someone kind of asked me to do a little bit of a video on, so sure, why not? They wanted to basically take a look at the differences and whatnot between the TwoSun TS216, also known as the Lovebird from Jelly Jerry, and the TS334 here from Night Morning Design that I just recently taken a bit more of a closer look at. And yes, so here we are with the 334. We got this kind of tallish spear point blade going on here. Obviously, it does use thumb studs here, also for the blade stop on it. And even though it kind of doesn't look like it, very effective front flipper as well. We have a pretty thick handle here at 0.57 inches. But you do get inset liner locks, or a liner for that. Both sides, by the way. So. Here we have the 216 Lovebird. A little bit different thing going on with the thumb studs. This one basically has knurling on the top rather than that kind of pyramid shape. Some people do think that these kind of pyramid shaped ones from TwoSun are a little pointy. I would agree. If I did do a slow roll with it, it is a little pointy there. But usually the way I end up using these thumb studs is behind it, so I don't really feel that top point there. But this one has the knurling, only on one side because we have the liner on the other. Well, subframe, I suppose you would call that there. But works out super well for flinging this guy open. This guy is a little bit shorter, as in width-wise, of a blade here. And a little tiny bit longer. This one comes in definitively under 3 inches at like 2.99. This one's just a little bit more, like 3.17. But we also have a compound grind going on here at the tip. Just kind of makes the tip a little bit thicker up top there than you would certainly see from this one. Of course, from this perspective, this one has a large swedge on the top there, so it's not really looking apples to apples as far as the actual blade stock thickness ends up feeling. So there's that. So yes, this one is a titanium frame lock. We have some marbled carbon fiber here. They don't come standard with the little labels there, but they all end up like that in my collection, so I can easily tell the difference. And yeah, you can see we have an immense amount of lock bar access there, but it's not intrusive at all. And also this knurling is basically kind of on the inside and scalloped and rounded off, so it doesn't really create much of a hot spot either. So that's nice. I suppose you can kind of creep up just a little tiny bit there, but you are going to have a little bit better kind of choke up on the 334 here. As far as the pocket clips go, this one has the their kind of newer style folded over deep carry clip. It is inset into the micarta, but also has 2 screws that are bolted through it into the steel, so it's fairly robust. And on this particular design, it doesn't bother me. A lot of times they will get right on top of like my pinky knuckle and it just feels very uncomfortable. This one does skirt around that a little bit, so that's nice. We have jumping on the top on this one, but we don't here. But we do have some on the back here and some for a reverse carry kind of thing going on the 216. The 334, as I've gone over in another video, is actually using Multirow bearings. So it's got, they're still the nylon cages, but they have 2 rows of the ceramic bearings in there. And as you can see, that doesn't necessarily translate into a more smooth design. They're both about the same there. The Multirow does actually help a little bit for a little bit more lateral play. It feels a little bit more like you're using bronze washers. Something like a Benchmade 940 or something like that would use, where it makes more than one itty bitty little tiny ring of contact. It makes two, so it does feel just a little tiny bit more sturdy, but only if you're really putting some forces onto the knife there. Whereas this guy, much older of a design. The 216 was designed and made before they started doing some multi-row bearings at all, which I think the TS313, that little button lock, was one of the first there, and then the 321 G10 sort of thing, and then this one. Yeah. This one, the Lovebird, does have a wire pocket clip, which Spyderco makes on quite a few of their models, and people really like them. It is kind of easily flexible, though, so your mileage may vary on that particular thing. I do tend to prefer my wire clips to be very stiff, like Spyderco ends up making them, rather than spring steel. These might be a little bit more durable if you catch it on things from time to time, but I'm not quite sure. I have not really intentionally done any destruction tests on this pocket clip, so there we go. So yeah, this one is just a little tiny bit longer, and it's also basically like 100% from the ground up, built for right-handed people. Well, that's me, and probably 85 to 90% of the rest of the population around the world. But I do appreciate when companies can accommodate lefties rather easily. It is a little bit different to try to close a frame lock or a liner lock with your left hand. But, obviously, as a lefty, you're going to get super used to that no matter what. Especially if you're looking into, some EDC knives and everything like that. Because these are probably not an initial one of like, you should either get one of these or one of these when you're first starting out picking up some knives. But, that is how it is. Between the two of these, my personal favorite is the 216 here. They're both rather comfortable. This one just, it is a little bit thinner, as I said, at 0.53 inches. They're both contoured though, so that's nice. I just tend to prefer this guy quite a bit. The blade shape is a little bit more EDC friendly for me rather than a spear point. It's really good at poking into things, but you end up getting a little bit thicker up top here rather quickly, because it's right there in the middle. You essentially have a saber grind instead of a much more close to a full flat grind that you have on this guy here. Let's see. There was something else I was going to mention about the blades here. Oh, yes. Also, the TS334. If you don't like the blade poking out the top, you might not like this thing to begin with. I've basically ground mine down, but out of the box, the heel of the blade back here sticks up very, very close to the top, to the point where you can touch it when it's closed, which means you can cut yourself with it. Like I said, I have basically ground that down, basically flattened that area, and then re-rounded the blade around it. The point does not go to that. That wasn't my poor skills at play there. That's just kind of how the knife was designed. Whereas this guy from Jelly Jerry is also pretty close up there, but not quite as dangerous. The blade stock thickness on both of these are 3.7 millimeters, though. So, this opening right here is going to be basically the same for both models there. All right, the other thing is weights. And this guy, as you could probably assume, weighs less. This one is 3.61 ounces, or about 102.5 grams. And this guy here that uses some thicker micarta and liners that aren't skeletonized in any particular way, that also adds to the weight. And the fact that it's kind of a taller blade, so it has a little bit more weight there. This is basically 4.25 ounces, or 120.5 grams. I can kind of put these guys side by side here. And yeah, you can see the blade's just a little bit longer on that one. Yeah, now what I was ending up saying earlier, whereas I do kind of prefer this one, there's probably a little tiny bit of bias going on there. And it's not against the designer. It's actually against another knife that I end up really, really enjoying, that it reminds me a lot of, and that's the QSP Parrot here. This one is just a little bit under. This one is, I think, 2.99 inches as well, but very similar as far as that flat bottom thing going on there. I really do like the ergonomics on this guy quite a bit, and this is fairly similar. It's a much more upscale option, even though this is kind of one of the more upscale options in Micarta. The original ones were in G10. But yeah, this is also a fantastic knife if you're just looking for a very nice, slim EDC thing that's very cheap, because even these guys are under 30 bucks. But if you are looking for possibly a little bit more of an upscale version of this guy, I have another one from TwoSun here. Yeah, it's got a frag pattern on there. This is the TS308, also known as the Suryu, which means water dragon, if I remember right. Yeah, so you can see the blade on this is just a little tiny bit smaller there, but the back ends up having that area that juts out rather than curving around. And I really appreciate that for having much larger hands. This one, just like the others, I can actually get that nice full 4-finger grip on there. But yes, this is also a titanium frame lock. This is an M390. This was designed in part by Mazwan Mokhtar, and also, let's see, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's Danny Mokhtar, who's not actually related to Mazwan. It's his son's design, who did the original sketches and everything for this. And his son was like 8 years old when it happened. I think he's probably 9 at this point. But yeah, it's a really superly well-designed knife that works for a lot of different hand sizes, and also has that kind of a smaller footprint to it. So yeah, that's another suggestion if you're looking at this and going, 14C28N, what can I do that might be a little bit better than that? I personally really like the steel, and don't really have much problems other than the fact that it scratches when you look at it funny. But yeah, that's basically why I would choose that one. But this one does have a little bit more of a hand-filling grip because it is much thicker than it. So, I mean, either one of them are pretty darn good knives. I really wouldn't say you could go wrong with either of them, but for a little bit more EDC, my personal favorite is going to be the Lovebird here. But, yep, that's kind of fun. I also brought in another couple of knives as suggestions in case neither of those two tickle your fancy, but you do kind of like a little bit of that same form factor. So, alrighty, well, this was kind of a fun one. So, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Slap it up a script.